Welcome to Real Girl Talk Podcast Radio. Welcome back to Real Girl Talk Podcast Radio. I am your host, Sherry Ricard. I am a medical professional, author, adversity recovery specialist, and co-founder of Silver Lining Wellness Company. I love sharing my faith and bringing you fascinating guests, Friday Fire messages, thinking outside the box, sharing ideas for business, beauty, and lifestyle abundance, and always committed to keeping it real. Now let's level up and let's dive in. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm opening my arms and I'm welcoming a new year. Say it with me. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am happy. I am whole. Remember, what we say, what we focus on, we bring into our life. This is the first episode of Real Girl Talk Podcast for 2022, and I am starting it off with a bang. My guest is the beautiful salon owner, Erica Kious. She owned a salon in California, and you may know the story. She is the one that exposed Nancy Pelosi, maskless, getting her hair done when all the women in California were told that they couldn't. All of the people in California were told that they could not work. Nancy Pelosi thought that it was okay to go into a salon and get her hair done because she is elite. Well, Erica is here to tell the whole story. The whole story and nothing but the truth. Hello, Erica. How are you?
Good. Great. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you because we have a lot to talk about. You have had a really eventful 2020 and 2021 with some things that kind of just went completely viral and all over the media. And I'm sure some of it was fake news and some of it was legit news, right? So I just want to talk to you because any woman or anybody that goes through what you went through can really be judged by others. I mean, you can, when you're out there in the public and just like celebrities are, they're judged. I mean, we think we know them, but we don't know them, right? I mean, we don't know their lives or what they do. But we're quick to judge when we see people on television. Now, I know a lot of people are like, yes, Erica rocks because you exposed Nancy Pelosi for the privilege that she takes, the things that is good for her, but not the rest of America. And you exposed that about a majority of Americans going, yes, that's what I'm talking about. But then you're going to have some that goes, that is not what happened. She set her up and believe all of the lies that come the other direction. So I really just want to give you a platform because you and I, just like we said, this is real girl talk. We just like if we were sitting down at Starbucks and I ran into you, I really want to know the real story, your side of the story. You're a hairdresser, you own your salon, you're a professional woman, you're a mom. You have had some trying times, I know, but I know it's probably affected you both professionally and personally. But I want you to kind of take us back to what happened for maybe people that have been living under a rock and don't know. You can tell us exactly what happened and then how that ended up going viral. I'll just kind of give you the floor.
First of all, I always like to start by saying a lot of people say the famous salon owner. I'm not famous. What I did is, again, just like you said, I'm a single mother, hardworking business owner that built my business from the ground up. And what I did was something for I felt was exposing the truth. Just a little bit of a background about me too is I am a first generation American. My mom did come here in the early 70s and fled from the Middle East for freedom in this country. So, and with her being a single mom and raising me, her work ethic and her stories of how she came to this country for freedom. And a lot of women, people know in the Middle East do not have rights.
Right.
My mom was actually going to flee here to this country with one of her best friends who was gay, and he was actually thrown off a building and murdered because of that. So my mom is another story, but that woman, I mean, she's an amazing person. So with that background of growing up with, again, a mother from another country that came to this country, I really know inside that I am fortunate to be born and raised in a country that gives me opportunity. Again, with my mom being a single mom, she worked her way to support me in restaurants. And when it came for me to go to school, we had no money. So I literally worked in restaurants and saved my money and went to beauty school and got my cosmetologist license. From there, I started, trying to open up my own salon, worked about 10, 12 hours a day to do that. And I did it. And fast forward 12 years later, knock on wood, with, my hard work, I owned a very, very successful business. When people ask me why I expose that has a little bit, and like you said, you know what I mean, with our upbringing and
Right.
that has, I mentioned that because that has something to do with it, I think, is of what was taken away from me within 24 hours by this woman, the third strongest woman politician in the world.
Right.
And to go to now to my salon and Nancy Pelosi, she was a client there for 6 years. Her home is 5 blocks from my salon. She had come in. I respected her privacy. I never told anybody she came in. I never put it on social media.
Right.
I made sure the salon was always immaculate clean when she came in. The Secret Service would come in. They were always amazing. They didn't even really look around anymore because they trusted us. I've met Pelosi's children. I've met her grandchildren. I used to have sometimes my golden doodle in there and her grandkids would play with my dog. We were part of the community. You know what I mean? I was a local business. So that was that with her. Anyways, again, that's why I try to tell people, and like you said, with, people coming back at me and saying, oh, you did this because, Republican, Democrat, it has nothing. Actually, I used to be a registered independent. I mean, I was in San Francisco for 15 years. I wasn't, and in my industry, we talk about what wine we like. We don't talk about politics. It's just something you don't talk about in my business, in the hair business industry. So it didn't have anything to do with that, Republican or Democrat at the time. It had to do with what was right. But anyways, COVID hit March. We shut down, obviously. I'm a logical person. We don't know what this thing is, right? I have kids. I'm like, what is this? So we all shut down for a few months.
Right.
Little by little, the rest of the country starts opening up. We start realizing what this virus is and what we can do to keep ourselves safe. Finally, in July, I would say, so my sister lives in Bethesda, Maryland, and she was getting her nails and hair done in June. Okay. So, and that's where the capital is pretty much. So they were open. We in San Francisco were still not open. And it started to get to the point where I started off with about 12 stylists to now like 4. People were moving back home. Everyone was losing their places. I had to Venmo one of my coworkers money for food. We were getting desperate and we did really well financially. Finally, we get a letter from OSHA. I got a 3-page letter of explaining of how to reopen my salon and the guidelines. We were supposed to reopen July 13th. I never forgot that date, 2020.
Wow.
We were so excited. And the majority actually of my coworkers are the ones, they spent the weekend. They were so happy reopening the place. My place was 2,000 square feet. You couldn't catch COVID in there if you tried. We were 10 feet apart.
Yeah, that's big.
Partitioning the sinks. And there was literally 4 of us, which I think we were going to do like 2 people a day. You know what I mean? Again, it was a very, very safe environment. 2 days. So my coworkers, I was living in Central California at this time. I commuted every other week to my salon in San Francisco. They were there. They had pretty much redid everything. And that's something I like to talk about too, is hearing the excitement in these people's voices and how proud they were, and all of us, of what we had done to reopen and how excited we were to make money and go back to work.
Right.
It still sticks in my head that weekend. But anyways, 2 days before we were supposed to open, the London Breed comes out and says, the COVID cases have spiked again. We're not going to reopen. And that's when I knew. I said, you know what? Because again, I had a little apartment above my salon, so I would commute every other weekend. I was there, and I would just keep an eye on stuff and look at stuff. Everybody, it was like the Twilight Zone. You didn't see anyone on the street ever. I'm like, there is no way there's a spike in San Francisco. Everybody was doing their thing. So of course, hairstylists, we know everybody in every industry.
Exactly.
Hairdresser.
Right. Kind of like the bartender, right? You tell them everything.
Exactly. I called one of my clients who was pretty much head of the ER in Kaiser in San Francisco, big hospital. I said, call me when you get to work. I want to know what's going on with the COVID cases. And she calls me and she's like, well, they had like, I don't know, the 200-300 beds ready for COVID patients. They literally had like 7 people in the hospital with COVID. And that's when I knew that this was all BS. I mean, to tell my coworkers, I mean, it's almost like, they were so excited to go back to work, all of us, and to
Mhm.
have to tell, I mean, we were all crying. It was so awful to not reopen when the whole country's back to work and we're not. We were again shut down. At this point, I'm like, you know what? There was the code on the door. I'm like, people go in I don't know, but if people need to go to work, we're COVID compliant. That's all I knew. So another month goes by. My coworker, he had messaged me and said that he got a message from Pelosi's assistant that he was going to do her hair. Now, in my mind, I mean, it's Nancy Pelosi, right? I'm like, she lives 5 blocks from the salon. So I'm like, for sure he's going to her house. She probably has a salon set up there. I don't know.
Right.
So I didn't even think of it. My boyfriend and I I was packing that night. We were flying to Nashville then on Monday because he texted me on Sunday. So I get on a plane, we land. I have sensors and cameras at the salon. I see that there's motion in the salon. For some, I just had this feeling. It's like my heart went into my stomach and I thought, did she go in there? Did she actually go in? There was about an hour and 20 minutes of footage on the camera. So I have it on my phone. So I'm looking and it's like God did it. It's weird. I went straight to the footage of her walking through the reception area with no mask. And we were at the airport. My boyfriend's a lawyer, so he's very logical. I showed him, he's like freaking out. He's like, you got to relax. You can't do anything, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? My emotions, I was so sick to my stomach and angry that I saw that because again, the past 6 months just went through my mind of all the emotions that my coworkers had gone through, what we had gone through, of me having, thank God, Jesus, I had forbearance on my mortgage. I mean, some of my coworkers weren't as lucky as I was, but that had just gone through my mind. I was so angry. I literally didn't even know what to think at the moment, but I didn't even think because a lot of, like you said, a lot of people have thought, well, did you think about your children or being attacked? None of that went through my mind. And I think a lot might have to do with it because she's been coming in for so long too. You know what I mean? Like I'm not personal friends with her, but I know her from coming in for so long. And so it was just like a person. It didn't matter who it was. It was her, and she shouldn't have done that.
Right.
And luckily, immediately, I have friends she's on Fox News all the time, and Newsmax, and her husband's in politics. I've known them for 20 years. They were in my wedding. I called her and I said, I have something I need to send you. So I emailed it to her and she called me back in 3 minutes shaking. She's like, oh my God. She couldn't believe what I
know.
had sent her. She waited for her husband to come home because you know how we women are. We're like, oh my God, what to do?
Yeah.
And he's so cool. And, he's like, all right, honey, now listen, you have something very serious. And they're such great people. He's like, you know what? If you want us to delete this email and you don't want to do anything with it, we get it. We will. And I thought about it and I'm like, no, you know what? For my entire life, I worked so hard to have this.
Right.
And this woman, who she is, just like people say, we are like peasants. That's how they treat us.
Right.
That's when it started, all for thee, or all for me, but not for thee. And that's how I felt. So I said, you know what? I said, turn it over to Fox News or, to them. I didn't sell it. I just turned it over. And that's within an hour when it all took off. I mean, thank God I was in an Airbnb. I called my ex-husband. Thank God my ex-husband and I are very close friends. I told him to take the kids and stay at his parents' house. So I really literally had to hide out for about a week. I'll be honest, 90% was positive. 10% was negative. And it's what these crazies, these extreme leftist crazy people are the ones.
Yeah.
And to be honest, a couple of them text me from their cell phone numbers. They were 415-510 Bay Area. I'm like, I Googled it later when I had my census. I'm like, it's like a Google executive. I'm like, please, I grew up in the hood. You don't know who you're messing with here. Wasn't because, regular working folks, they go and get their nails done. They get their hair done. They know. They didn't come out. The majority of my clientele are liberal. They all called me. They were pissed off. They can't stand Nancy. They've known me for 10 years. They know why I did it. I didn't do it because it was Nancy Pelosi. I did it because of the hypocrisy of her saying that we can't work and then her just coming in and doing what she wanted.
Right.
When you talk about the setup, there's no way I set her up. No. I've had cameras in there for 6 years. She came out with a press conference after that and to say that. I mean, and it's probably the best thing she ever did because she made herself look
Like you made
seriously.
it.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
And whoever her camp people are, I'm like, if it was me, I would have said, you know what, Nancy, you screwed up.
Right.
Just admit it. You went in, you felt safe, you took your mask off. Okay. You've known these people for 6 years. Obviously, we did a really good job if it was that COVID compliant. You know what I mean?
Right.
What she should have done is she should have came out and said, you know what? Again, I've been coming here for 6 years. I can't believe what a great job they did. I, forgot about it, felt safe enough to take my mask off. You know what? We should open up all the businesses. Let's open all the businesses back up.
Right.
But no, she's that bad of a person that
Right.
she blamed it on a small business owner.
And you know what, Erica, when you're sitting there talking, and the whole mask thing is just one aspect of it, because when I saw it, it was not so much as the mask that bothered me. It was the fact that just a month, well, I guess it was probably about 8 weeks before we had opened, because we opened back up, I think it was maybe around May. So we had been shut down for a couple of months pretty hard in Louisiana, but we opened back up, and I couldn't even get an appointment with my hairdresser until June. So I had not had a haircut since 2019, basically, by the time 2020 came. So it wasn't so much the mask that just gave me just sick to my stomach and just nauseated. It was, the mask was one aspect, but it was the fact that, why do you get to call a hairdresser to open a salon that you have closed to everyone else, to where all these people cannot work, nor can anyone go and get their hair done? But because you are so privileged as a public servant, you're supposed to be, I don't know very many millionaire public servants, but she's one. You're so privileged that not only can you wear a mask when you choose to, but you get to go in and get your hair cut and get your hair fixed, because you are so much better than all the other women that have been waiting for months and months to get their hair done.
Today's episode is sponsored by Prose. There's no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to hair care. A product that works wonders for curls might make straight hair limp and greasy. Thanks to my personalized Prose routine, I can honestly say that my hair looks better than it has in years. First, Prose starts by asking about you as a person. With their in-depth consultation, Prose asked me really unexpected things like my zip code, eating habits, and exercise. Next, Prose analyzed all my answers and determined what unique blend of ingredients should be in every product of my custom routine. Together, Prose got all of my hair goals covered. My hair is softer and shinier than it has been in years. Prose is the healthy hair regimen with your name all over it. Take your free in-depth hair consultation and get 15% off your first order today. Go to prose.com/realgirltalk. That's prose.com/realgirltalk for your free in-depth hair consultation and 15% off.
So, and I'm sitting here watching my son at the time's girlfriend over here crying, because how they are. It's like, my extensions are falling out. you don't think about that stuff until you just can't have it. And I am one of those people that I've been getting my nails done since my daughter was 6 years old, and she's 34. So I had to literally sit there with sandpaper and try to get them off because they were hurting. They were catching on everything. And so we all kind of went through our things. But so why was it that she thought she was so privileged? Because she is. She is.
In their minds, they are. In their minds, they can do whatever they want. And that should have.
But they can, Erica. See, that's the problem. That's the problem. Not only do they think they can, they actually can, because they've proved that over and over and over. They make rules.
Well, they can't now.
Well, they can't now.
Because everyone's coming out. Newsom got caught after that at French Laundry.
Right.
Finally, people were like, you know what? People need to see this.
Right. And I think that's what happened in California. You guys have had it really, really bad. And then in New York right now, it's just insane. I watched a video clip the other day of 5 police officers in a pizza restaurant and just terrorizing a 5-year-old because he didn't have a vaccine.
I saw that.
I mean,
It's
what is happening?
disgusting.
I mean, have you gone crazy? I would have gone to prison for life if they
Oh,
had
I would
tortured
have
my
done the
child
same
that
thing.
way.
Oh, I would have done the same thing. I can't. So that's the thing too, is people need to understand. I just saw another thing of footage on Instagram. A Karen, right? I guess a
Yeah,
guy, he was an older gentleman, maybe in his 70s. He probably took his mask off to eat or something, because,
yeah.
and this woman's like, put your mask on, like yelling at this man. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
And he's like, it's funny because he's like, sit down, Karen, mind your own business. She takes her mask off and she's screaming at him. And the flight attendant's like trying to be very nice, but she actually reaches out and hits the man. And people are just sitting there and filming it. I'm Middle Eastern. Okay. So I have not a temper, but I don't know if you're like that. I'm not a bystander.
No, I'm not
I
either.
can't sit and watch people hurt animals, children, elderly
No,
people. Like,
me neither.
I would have gotten up. I'm 5'9". I work out a lot. I'm like, I would have gotten up and I mean, I would have taken her down and I probably
Yeah.
would have went to jail. But you know what? Again, like what I said about when I turned into footage, like you can't sit there. If we all sit there and go, well, what if, what if I get in trouble or
Right.
what? You can't. You just have to be
Right.
quick on your feet and do what's right.
So what happened? I mean, all of that happened, and then 90% of it was positive. How did that affect your salon as far as staying open, closing down? What happened after that?
Okay, death threats. They were going to come after my children. They were putting my home address all over Instagram, Facebook. They were going to burn down the salon, sending text messaging pictures of flames.
Wow.
It was pretty rough. Thank God, again, I've got thick skin. So, but it was at the point where they went on my Yelp page. I had 5 stars. They destroyed it. Thank God Yelp, actually, I have to give it to them. It took them 3 months to fix it. Yeah, they went after, that's what the extreme left does, is when I say extreme left, because I have friends that are Democrats that are normal people.
Right.
These people, these extremists went and attacked every which way they could about my livelihood. So, and I have to be honest, San Francisco is a place, I was there for 15 years. I love that city. It had, even 2 years before the started COVID hit, it's been going downhill. Our mayor, our DA not prosecuting. You've heard what's happened. Walgreens shutting down, the looting, you can't even walk out, on the streets at night by, getting attacked.
So sad.
I know, it's really sad. So my clientele started little by little moving away anyway. And then obviously once COVID hit, I would say 60%, 70% of my clients moved away. So at that point, with all the threats, I mean, again, I regret, and I regret the most is my couple of my good friends and coworkers that, because of my decision, they, couldn't work there or be at work anymore at my salon, which, I couldn't even shut it down. My boyfriend actually took a U-Haul and went up and closed. I had 2 locations, by the way, in the Marina-Coahalo district. So he went and took everything down and cleaned up and packed it up. I couldn't go. I couldn't. I mean, again, it took, it was 12 years of hard work, all gone.
All gone because of Nancy Pelosi. I mean, it's just incredible that where we are in America, and these extreme leftists, and they preach that we're all as one in unity, and all this bull that they preach, and
Bullshit.
They're the most violent people that we have.
Terrible.
I don't know where this white supremacist came from, made up from the media, I guess, but they're basically America's terrorist.
Malcolm X said that. He said the white liberal is the evil one. I mean, they're the ones. I came from a very diverse city. I'm from Fresno, the Central Valley.
Yeah.
It's all farmers, Hispanic workers. My best friends are Black, Asian, Mexican. I was very fortunate to grow up that way. Again, from my mom speaking 4 different languages and coming from another country, I just grew up that way. And then moving to San Francisco, they would talk about diversity, and I'm like looking around though, but I'm like, but there is no diversity here. What are you guys talking about? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I started hearing the word racism. I have never in my life in Fresno, we didn't hear that, because I even have friends that are Hmongs, and everyone's like, well, what's a Hmong? Like, they're from Laos, like an area in the Bay Area. Like, I'm like looking around, I'm like, I don't understand this. It's crazy. And I always tell people too, like, especially when COVID was going on, there's an area, it's called Tiburon. It's across the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco. It's a beautiful area. it's multi-millionaires, billionaires that live there. And I would run there because that's when COVID was kind of going on and there wasn't very many people. So I could run outside without a mask.
Yeah.
You would see these people with their BLM signs in the windows, and you can see them like, huddled in their home looking out. And it's like, you know what? You're a billionaire, you're white, and you're sitting there with this. It's almost like they're the racist ones, like they're the scared ones in their house.
Right.
It was just, I've never seen anything like that.
It really is crazy because, I told my husband, one thing that I learned through all of this is, and sadly, is that I was naive. I never realized there was so much hate until everybody told me there was.
Yeah.
I never realized there were so many evil, and I never realized that our politicians were hypocrites and elites and all. I never even realized that. I was naive to it until now, and I wish I never knew it.
It's everywhere, but that's what they've created. I think another thing I've learned through all this, and I've traveled the country now, I've met governors, I've met a lot of people. Yeah. It's funny because when you go, like, even in Tennessee, like, it is diverse there. I mean, everyone's like working together, living together. It's in these very heavy liberal places where I see this divide. California, New York. We have the most biracial couples ever in history now. And I think the Democrats are losing the racial card. I mean, everyone's starting to get over it and be like, even my friends that are Black, they're like, they're over it. Everyone's over this.
Yeah, I am.
So they're losing that battle. So now they're trying to divide by vaccinated and unvaccinated.
Right.
It's their narrative to always divide the people. And that's how they win, right? They weaken people and they divide people. And that's why I could never, and I am a registered Republican. I could never be a part of a party that divides people like that.
No.
I really hope people wake up and see that. I really, really do. I've lived it. I've seen it. I've grown up with a background of seeing what my mom had gone through in another country. Again, I just pray to God that people wake up and, 2022 is going to change everything.
I think so. I think so. I have a lot of hope and I have a lot of faith in the new year and a lot of things that have been exposed. And for you to do what you did is, and I know you don't want to be called this, but I think it's heroic because a lot of people won't do that because of what you just said. What's going to happen? Am I going to lose my job? Are they going to come out? You didn't even think of all that. You just immediately did the right thing. And I think that is what true character is all about. We, as a nurse, I've been in the medical industry for 25 years. Even though I don't do bedside nursing anymore, I'm still a registered nurse. I'll keep my license forever. My instinct is to immediately care and come to the rescue of other people. And I think that that's just part of your character, that you just immediately was like, to do what's right.
Exactly.
And not everybody.
Exactly.
Like that. So for people like us that immediately come to aid and do what's right, for other people, they're like, I don't know. That's not their nature. That's not their personality. That's not their character. Hard for some people because they have to step back. And I understand, believe me, I understand, a single mom having a hard time doing what you did. I completely would understand her doing that because she might pause a second and think, how is this going to affect me? But with our type of personalities, we don't even think. There's no filter. We just jump in.
It's react. Yep, react.
And then we deal with the consequences after. And speaking of that, consequences after, where are you now? And are you back with a salon? And I'm waiting for this happy ending, Erica.
Yes.
What's going on?
I also wanted to mention, because I want your listeners to know, because I didn't realize, because it was so focused on Nancy Pelosi, that I was helping out with the Recall Gavin Newsom campaign too, because he's got a huge hand in this as well as Nancy Pelosi. He also turned his back on his community. He owns 4 restaurants literally a block away that I've supported for years. His wife, Jen, I donated gift certificates from my salon to her golf charity every year. So these people, Pelosi, Gavin Newsom, they were a part of my community. I've known them for years, and they completely turned their backs on us. So that's always something I want to mention. So with those people being in San Francisco, obviously I completely left San Francisco.
Yeah, I understand.
Now what I did, I don't think I'm going to open another hair salon. Been there, done that. I'm 46. So what I do is I rent a chair part-time in a friend's salon in Fresno, California. It's out in the country. It's surrounded by wonderful, fabulous women who I love being around.
Nice.
And then I also have a studio in Brentwood, Tennessee, which is between Nashville and Franklin. And the owner of that salon, Parlor 3, she's amazing. She also, her and her husband took me in. And I just rent a little studio there and work by myself. And I knock on wood, I'm building very fast. And it's funny is nobody knows who I am. And I like keeping it that way in the beginning because I don't want people. And that's something else I did with all this is I got approached by, let's start Not Today Nancy hats and t-shirts and let's do a Patriot, hairline. I said no to all that because
I kind of like the t-shirt idea though.
They tried doing that. Actually, someone stole my identity and tried to do it on Twitter. Thank God we were able to get that taken down immediately.
Crazy.
I didn't want to cheapen what I did. I wanted people to know. I don't want people to say, oh, well, look, now she's making all this money off of a shampoo line or, cosmetic line or whatever. I wanted to I did what I did because I care for my country. And I'm so fortunate and blessed and proud to be born here and live in this country.
Right.
And that is what was important to me with what I did, not to make money from it. No, things are great. I'm in a wonderful, wonderful relationship with a very supportive man who has got me through most of everything.
Nice.
My family has supported me. Again, my friends. Yeah. So I'm just looking forward to building up my business as, just renting a chair and going from there. And then when I tell people who I am, they're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's funny because not one person yet has said to me, oh my God, why did you do that? Everybody knew what I did and why I did it pretty much. So
yeah, you're probably not going to get any negative in Tennessee. I lived in Memphis for 14 years. So, and one of my very best friends for 30 plus years is in Nashville, and she just recently moved, and she goes back and forth from Alabama, South Alabama, Florida area to Nashville because all of her kids are there. And I was telling you about my son that had passed away, and one of her sons was my son's best friend. So so we actually, and he just had his firstborn child, and he named him after my son Bryant. So it was really awesome. My daughter and I flew there to see the new baby in February. And so it was really awesome. So I love Nashville. I love Nashville. I would move there, but it just gets me further and further away from the beach. And my goal is to venture to Florida.
I think everyone's going, it's funny because a lot of people are starting to, I have a few friends in Nashville now that are going to Florida. It's like everyone's going further and further where it's more red.
The free state. They call it the free state.
It is. Thank God. I want to mention too, where I live in California. Well, right now I'm in Orange County, which is pretty conservative. And then the Central Valley our mayor is a Republican. And I hate to say it, I never moved around thinking I want to live somewhere that's either Democrat or Republican.
Right.
But Fox News just did an interview with our DA in Fresno saying, how are you able to, because they stopped one of those mob robberies or looting things. The Fresno PD came and just nipped it in the bud. And she was explained because our DA does prosecute people and the police. And that's what she was saying. So knock on wood, I am living in a community that's still great. It's the mask wearing, it's not crazy. It's very normal. It's very normal there.
Yeah. I think the only crazy thing is, and to my listeners, if you do this, God bless you. That's the Southern term for seriously. Is when you're in your car by yourself, you don't need the mask. You don't need the mask.
No, you don't.
And now it's kind of comical, right? It's like, why did they have that mask on? They're in the car by
I think because they're trying to show that I am doing my part. It's like, okay, you want to do your part, then go volunteer and feed the homeless or something.
Exactly. Do something
for
that
your
actually
community.
means something. Oh my gosh. Well, Erica, gosh, I just love you, girl. I think that you have truly, truly done something heroic. And I think that you did not let it do anything but empower you to move forward with whatever you wanted to do. If you want to open a salon again, you will. You don't care. You're just doing your thing. And, you didn't want to make money off of it. That's not what it was all about. And even if you did, let me tell you something, more power to you, girl. Do whatever you want to do, because you know what? This is America. You can do whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
So, I know David Harris Jr. sells shirts, Let's Go Brandon t-shirts, and he does his thing. Everybody does their thing. And if you could come out with a skincare line called Truth.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Just a little idea there.
Kind of like Truth, kind of like Trump's new platform, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it called Truth or Truth something?
Truth something. Well, thank you, Erica. I appreciate you so much. And did you want to tell everybody where the salon is in Tennessee, where you're working?
There isn't really a name because I'm renting a room from Parlor 3. If you Google Blondes by Erica, I'm there. And then I'm pretty booked there though, thank God, till March. But I'm trying to grow my business more in Central California in Fresno. And that one is hairbyericakious.com. So it's just that hair and then by and then my first and last name.com. So I'm really trying to, because that's where my kids are and I spend a little bit more time there. So I'm trying to grow my business. Instagram page is verified, but I use it now more for politics than I do my hair. It's Hair by Erica Kious.
And it's Kious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all go in there and make sure you're following Erica. So I appreciate you so much, Erica. We could chat all day because we have so much
I know
we can talk about. And maybe as it gets closer to the midterms in 2022, we'll jump back on and see what's going on, and you can you can jump on and give us some little insight of what and what we should be doing to turn this country back around. But I appreciate you
absolutely
very much, and it was a pleasure meeting you. Really was.
You too.
Thank you for tuning in all the way through Real Girl Talk Show. Make sure you subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you happen to have iTunes, would you do me a favor and leave me a review on the show? I know you're going to leave me a 5-star, right? That's the way that I can reach more and more people around the world. Remember, whatever you wish to receive, you have to first give. And I know that you're the kind of person that wants to reach people all over the world and inspire them. You can copy this link and share it with your family and friends. Share it on social media. Remember, people need to be uplifted and inspired more than ever today. Thank you so much for being a part of Real Girl Talk community. And until next time, go after your dreams, create your vision, and truly be the person God intended you to be. Healthy, happy, whole, and full of life. Love you.